Okay, welcome back, class. We're going to start adding some local color to the apple that we started yesterday. We started with going from dark to light. So now we're going to move to those lovely middle values, yellow, red. We'll be mixing up some orange, yellow ochre, a little bit of alizarin crimson, and we're going to be in stage 5 of this apple drawing. And again, that's from your Pastels Made Easy book. There's a close-up of that step 5. So we're adding the middle values now. So we're working from dark to light. So our final product is going to look like that. And we're going to start with some of those warm values. I'm going to start with this warm mixture of yellow ochre and a little bit of lemon yellow. And I'm just going to use the book as my reference. So it's important to just try to give it a nice light amount of pressure so you can build the layers, and that's called blocking in, and that will help you not to overwork your painting, because the more layers you put on, the more difficult it will be to make corrections to your work. But when you're in this initial stage, you can probably get by with using a kneaded eraser to try to correct some of those mistakes. But later on, that's going to become more difficult. So start with a real soft and light application of color. So I'm going to move on to the yellow ochre, which is a warm yellow. Okay, so now we're going to move on to those red and orange tones. So again, to mix up orange, put down some yellow. I'm also going to look at how far this area extends. Maybe it comes over a little bit more. And I'm just using the side, so I'll go over it with a little bit of red. And that will help me get that, lovely orange. So you can start smoothing it in with your finger a little at a time. I'm going to warm up that yellow. It's looking a little bit like acid green. Also going to warm up that orange by continuing to add more yellow and red until I get something closer to what I see in my reference. So getting closer to an orange. Start moving over to some red in this darker shadowed portion. Let's try to make that more orange, that more red. So just a bit more pressure, and I'm going to try to create some transitions between the orange and the red, just smoothing those edges together. Go ahead and try to fill in some of that green a little bit. So we're moving towards the shadow side, so the colors are going to get cooler in temperature and darker in value. So I'm now changing over to an alizarin crimson, which is a cool red. There's some blue that's been added to the mixture. Come up here with some more red. Try to fill everything in. And it might take you a while to get the colors that you want, like it did with the color wheel, so just be patient. And you might want to try using brown as your underdrawing, maybe one of these Conte pencils, because I'm noticing that the black I used is mixing with the colors in a way that I don't really like. So that's just a tip for you. And if you don't have a Conte, you could just use a soft pastel like this, and it's a burnt umber color. It's just a nice, warm, friendly color, and I don't think it will get as muddy as that black color that I see. Which I really don't like. It's creating colors I don't want, unfortunately. So now I'm adding in some of those shadowed areas, but I'm adding color to them. So now we're starting to see a bit of a gradient, which we saw in that gradient exercise and also in that black and white apple. So we're keeping that same light source. Light's coming from the right, shadows from the left. So I don't want to neglect my cast shadow. That's also very important. So I will add a little bit of some cool colors right underneath. So that was alizarin crimson. Then I'm going to go add some blue in there. And it's good to not just rush to the black when you have something dark and you're working in full color. Sometimes you can add a dark blue or a dark green just to make it a little more interesting. And it looks like this shadow feathers out a little bit with some warmer colors. Maybe it's reflected light. It looks like it's a pretty light background. So I'll go ahead and add those in. And I think it also will add some unity to our painting. So I'm just going to check those values, maybe try to feather that out a little bit, just to make those edges a little bit softer. And I'm going to darken this shadow underneath the apple just to create a little more contrast. And some dark blues. And maybe I will try to create something called harmony by continuing to add some blues.